At the backdrop of African Forward Summit that is currently happening in Nairobi, Kenyans and fellow Africans, I have one painful truth for you. Colonialism ended not because the white man, was concerned about human rights. No. It did because it was no longer profitable. It was a loss-making industry. Transportation of, the slaves and, the civilization of the people. Even before civilization, this is the same way and slavery ended. It ended at the backdrop of industrial revolution. That human beings were no longer more productive than the machines. So we have to end human slavery. The very same thing that happened with colonialism. It never ended. And that is why African countries were granted independence. They never won independence. Today, if colonialism, God forbid, will come back to the African continent, Kenyans will be one of the easiest people to colonize. Because as PLO Lumumba said, we have more traitors in our home than colonizers in Nairobi. That is the reality. You remember Kenyans, the Kipande system that was administered during the Kenyan colonial times. This is something that, changed into what we call monitor. When we were in high school and primary school, you speak your local vernacular, they will put a big banner of bones on your neck because you spoke vernacular. And this is the very same intergenerational trauma, if I can call it, William Ruto displayed in Italy the other time when he was in Europe, when he said, we speak better English than our Nigerian brothers. Only for William Ruto, of all the people, should have known that English is just a means of communication, not a measure of intelligence. English, today, if a kid from kindergarten in Nairobi will be speaking English at grade 1, grade 2, the kid is very bright. The same kid will start speaking their mother tongue, you'll be like, huyu mtoto ni mujinga. You see, Kenyans, tunawaonea wivu, sijui nini, we perform, we are grinding. Please, you need to have spiritual awakening in you. You need to understand what led to our comrades like Thomas Sankara, Amilcar Cabral, Samora Machel, Modibo Keita, and many other people to lose their life. We know this. Bilateral talks is not a big deal because no country on this continent or in this world is an island. But are Kenyans and Africans coming to the table as equal partners, or we are coming to the table as the food to be eaten, as Professor Patrick Lumumba said in Dar es Salaam on the occasion of his speech addressing the University of Dar es Salaam students. I think on the celebration of Julius Nyerere's memoir. Kenyans, Africans, we seem to be very comfortable. Look at the way Kenyans are obsessed with Muzungu. Munapenda wazungu sana. Some of you are projecting your trauma and relationship laws on the success of the white man, Muzungu. And I'm not trying to be racist here. This is just the reality, It will be so easy for you to make it in life, especially in Nairobi, if you have relatives ambao ni weupe, kuliko wewe kukua mweusi. This is the very same projection that we are now seeing in our leaders. And I want to tell our artists, continue pleasing and performing to these people. I mean, we've had the likes of Fela Kuti, the great Miriam Makeba, the one and only Lucky Dube. We will not run out of pure consciousness and fighting for the struggle of this continent. We will not run out. Is this the first time they are doing African Forward Summit? They did the same in 1884, 1885 in Berlin. And you know what they said back then? We are just meeting to discuss on resource mobilization. And that one machinated himself into colonialism. So this is not the first conference they've done. They've done a lot of conferences. And it will only be done when African continent will be the food to be eaten on the table and never the waiters or the guests to be invited. But continue with your own astral projection, J Shiti, why rich dad, poor dad, rich dad, why students work for C kind of projection. You don't know nothing about Miriam Makeba. You know nothing about Eduardo Mondlane. You know nothing about Comrade Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara when he prevented the supply of aid to Burkina Faso, and he changed the country from the name Upper Volta to the people of Burkinabe, to the people of Burkinabe for that matter. You never see this. You shall always live in the machination and obsession of the Western civilization. When today, the other time, the Rastafari people, I think it was the granddaughter of Bob Marley who said, the origin of dreadlocks in the Rastafarian Jamaican community was inspired by the very same Mau Mau. Some of you say, no, this is not us. This is not an everything. If you are going to search on the origin of Natty Dread by Bob Marley and the dreadlocks, the dreadful man, you will understand where we are headed as a continent. Lakini for now, tutazidi kuwaonea wivu. Tutazidi kuwaonea, tuna project, tuko na trauma. Continue living in this hallucination. But for those people who are awake, the time to be awake was a long time ago. People are digging their land. And we should also be very, very mindful about our own digging. Kenyans, some women leaders are the reasons why our mothers, our sisters are discriminated, abused in the workspace, and even humiliated in the Kenyan political space. Karen Nyamu, the level of trauma that you've left on that young girl is unimaginable. Her self-esteem will be no more. Chances of her facing bullying in school, intimidation from her peers, will never be the same again. But here you are. Professor Wangari Maathai, may God rest her soul in peace, must be rolling in her graves. Wangari Maathai did something even our fathers were not able to do back then. Facing a dictator by the name Daniel Toroitich arap Moi in protecting Uhuru Park. Alafu naangalia kina Karen Nyamu nowadays. Kichwa inaniuma. If you are going through the same, purportedly, why do you have to assume and measure every young girl you are going to see in such kind of honorable house, the House of the Senate? Huyo ni msichana mdogo. She is there for her educational issues, but you are there burdening her with the things even beyond her imagination. And I even saw some women influencers on TikTok, Twitter, even trying to defend Karen Nyamu. Very sad. The same case with the sexual harassment of the 12-year-old child. I'm not going to call her a woman. I'm not going to call her a lady. That is a child. She doesn't even know what is the expectation of her gender. Hajui jinsia kike anafaa kufanya nini. Hajui that girl who was almost getting married, who got married actually and impregnated by a 70-year-old man. And these are the women leaders. They are very silent. Honorable Naomi Wako Marsabit, Mumina Bonaya Isiolo, I've forgotten the one for Tana River, Honorable Udgon Siad, Fatuma Jeho, Umulkhair Kasim from Mandera. That old man vividly said how the culture is doing him favor. How he's using the nemesis of religion to pursue a 12-year-old child. Na mumenyamaza tu. But if today something is going to happen politically, unajua sijui Linda Mwananchi imesema hivi, unajua sijui opposition imesema hivi, you are the first people in the front line in these rallies, in the front line in the media houses. Don't you carry the sense of guilt and shame? I'm really glad without your support, yule mtoto mdogo, I'm not going even to call her a woman or a lady. Yule mtoto amepata haki. Kesi itafanyika tarehe 11 mwezi wa 6 at Makadara Law Courts. Thank you so much, Honorable Geoffrey Mosiria. Lakini akina dada wetu, I just want to tell you, the reasons why some of these things are trickling down to every sector, private, public, workspaces, your safety, it is because of how these women leaders are branding the safety of our mothers and our sisters out there. Karen Nyamu, there are a lot of things you can do. And apparently, she is vying for a women rep position. Na sitashtuka, Wakenya watampigia kura. Watampigia kura. They will vote for her. When Honorable Martha Karua was running for the deputy presidency of this country, we know what happened. We know she was really trying to make history. Lakini some of you, the women leaders, stood against her. We know that. This is very sad. If this is a member of parliament, if this is a legislator, ana project mambo mbaya kama kwa hiyo mtoto mdogo mwenye anasoma shule ya upili, can you imagine what is happening on the lower level? Can you imagine some of the cases that goes unreported wa Kenya? Nimepigwa na butwa na nimeshangaa sana pia. Anyway, Kenyans, tumakinike sana.